Jury selection for the criminal trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs started today in New York City. The rapper and producer faces multiple charges, including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Prosecutors allege Combs was the mastermind behind a years-long operation to sexually abuse women. He denies any wrongdoing and rejected a plea deal that could have resulted in a lighter sentence. He faces life in prison if.
Welcome to S7N, Celebrity True Crime. I'm Cenique. In this episode of the By Judge or Jury series, we'll examine the pretrial jury selection of the Sean Diddy Combs trial. This is a full breakdown of the daily events that took place. On May 2nd, Sean Diddy Combs turned down a plea deal offered by prosecution. The terms were not disclosed. In court, Judge Sumerian asked Combs was he drug-free, of sound mind. Combs replied he was and rejected the plea deal. Jury selection moved forward. Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial commenced, starting the day with jury selection. 12 jurors would be needed with 6 alternates. The selection was no easy task. The court was hard-pressed to find jurors who had not heard of Combs' troubles. A good number of them had a notion formed on innocence or guilt. Several potential jurors had already seen the monstrous video of the hotel incident, where Combs physically attacked then-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura Fine, also known as Cassie. Combs were present in the courtroom, donned a blue sweater covering a white collared shirt and dark sunglasses. Combs and team were seated. Possible jurors were asked to share their thoughts concerning certain celebrities. They included Mike Myers, Kid Cudi, Don Richard from Danity Kane, Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, Cassie Ventura Fine, also known as Cassie, and Michael B. Jordan. Several dozen potential jurors were questioned by Judge Honora Sabarian. Both the prosecution and defense have opportunities to pose questions to potential jurors, but the final decision left to the judge to find 19 suitable to serve. On day 2 of jury selection of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, the search for unbiased jury members continued. The brutal video has made its way around media outlets and the internet. This proved to be a difficult situation to get around. Other issues that manifested to limit potential jurors. Some potential jurors were dismissed due to medical reasons. Sitting for long periods of time would prove difficult. Others also cited a language barrier being a reason. Some potential jurors weren't fluent enough in English. Others struggled with being unbiased. One man admitted to reading articles covering the case on his way from jury duty. He also confessed to knowing he wasn't supposed to read coverage concerning the charges against the disgraced mogul, but did anyway. He was dismissed from the jury pool by the prosecutors due to failure to follow instructions. Additional jurors were questioned. They were asked if they had a family member or friend that had ever been SA'd or victims of domestic violence. They were also asked if they had ever had a family member charged with such a crime. Potential jurors were also questioned about their activity on social media. They wanted to know if they had read, posted, or commented on a post concerning the case. By the end of day 39, jurors had been questioned. 16 prospective jurors were cleared to move on. Those consisted of 10 men and 6 women. They ranged in age from 38 to 87. Occupations from all walks of life, from kitchen designer physician assistant, social worker to an airplane pilot. 3 stated they liked hip hop. One gentleman stated he had run-ins with the law, including a stop and frisk and an assault. Prosecutors felt he would be biased against police, but the defense stated he's now a grown man who's matured with a responsible job with with New York Transit Department, and that he interacts with law enforcement regularly due to his position. The judge ruled he could move forward without a bias to law enforcement. The American Airlines pilot worried about bias due to hearing information about the case. He pointed out that Combs' lifestyle is a lot different from his. The allegations were off-putting and couldn't get it out of his head. The defense wanted to dismiss him, but the judge ruled he could carry on and added it would be difficult finding anyone who hadn't heard something pertaining to the situation with Combs. One potential juror was excused due to marijuana use. He stated he had been arrested 7 years prior for possession. The judge asked if he could refrain from using during the trial, and the man stated it would be hard for him. I'm sorry. He was dismissed. He said it was going to be hard for him to stop smoking weed. I mean, listening to everything that's going on in this trial, he probably would have needed to. Diddy's defense team consists of lead attorneys Mark Filio and Tina Garagos. The hotel video is a real source of contention for the defense. They argued about it being authentic, stating the forensic specialist they hired stated the video was condensed and not being able to create accurate versions of events. But the judge ruled the video is fair and accurate. At lunchtime, 6 potential jurors were pushed through and 9 had been dismissed. The court locks in on 11 people who advanced to the finals. After 3 days of screening New York residents, the court had a pool of 45 potential jurors. Prosecutors and the defense were looking to wrap up the process by May 9th, selecting 12 jurors and 6 alternates. A nurse practitioner, X-ray technician, and a United Nations worker were among the 11 who made it through. However, an acquaintance of Jude Oran Sabramian, a mom of 2, and HBO photo producer were all dismissed from the case. A pool of potential jurors of 45 continued to undergo questioning. They were repeatedly asked if family members or friends were ever subjected to SA, victims of domestic violence, or if any family members had ever been charged with such crimes. Another potential juror was approved after she confirmed she was doom scrolling on social media. The juror stated she simply swiped on a meme the defense felt was derogatory to the client. The potential juror assured the judge and company it meant nothing. However, the potential juror attended the same high school as Combs, but graduated 30 years later. They assured the court they were unbiased. One juror who binged on the new Star Wars series Andor was sleep deprived and stated he was lazy. The judge then asked if he could get enough sleep and pay attention in court. The potential juror stated he could. Good for him. And I understand binging on a series that's good. You just cannot stop watching it. Been there. Totally get it. A juror who knew Judge Sabranian personally for 10 years and worked with the judge was dismissed. It would be a large conflict to have him serve. There was a juror that felt Combs was guilty of domestic violence. She didn't understand the charges against him. She stated she could only hold people accountable for what she sees. She felt she needed the full story and stated people jump on the bandwagon to say something bad has happened to them. She was apparently referring to the number of civil lawsuits filed against Combs. The judge overseeing Combs' trial reprimanded a lawyer close to the Combs defense team. That this is Mark Garagos. He's not really on the defense team. His daughter is one of the lead attorneys, but he's consulting with the team. But he had the audacity to call the prosecutors a six-pack of white women. Now, he was out of order for that. Judge Sabranian spoke to Garagos in a private setting, stating, referring to the prosecution in this case as a six-pack of white women is outrageous. Garagos, like I said, is not an official member of the team, but he's just coaching them, consulting them. The daughter is one of the lead attorneys, and him and Combs, they have a relationship. They're friends. So I totally kind of understand why he's been hanging around and why he's helping out, especially with the daughter being a lead attorney. This is more than likely probably pretty big for her. Sean Diddy Combs has an 8-lawyer team. However, there is one lawyer stirring trouble, and he's not even an official defense team member. Mark Garagos, a revered criminal defense lawyer who's worked with the Mendez brothers, Winona Ryder, Scott Peterson, Colin Kaepernick, and Susan McDougal of the Whitewater controversy. He was present in the courtroom during jury selection and ruffled the prosecution's feathers. They sent a letter to Judge Aaron Sabarian concerning the matter on May 6th. That's when he called the prosecution a pack of six-pack of white women. U.S. Attorney Phil Mark Garagos is advising the defense team in Combs. They are not taking it lightly. They were also taken aback at the comments Garagos made concerning the case in podcast. U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton called out Garagos for appearing to have an apparent role as an advisor to the defendant in the defense team. There was a brief recess taken by Combs' legal group until May 9th. Now, he's not a part of the official defense team, but I don't know of a law saying that he can't give them advice or that he can't consult. I think it's the reason why they may be making a deal about it is because he's kind of being a little disruptive, and he's been insulting, with the comment about the prosecution. So I think that's more than likely why they raised an objection to him being present. On May 9th, the jury selection continued. Combs' legal team returned from a brief recess on May 8th, only to go back into another recess. Final jury selection was made on May 12th. There was a slight delay due to judges' concerns of jurors dropping off due to issues raised over the weekend. Both the prosecution and defense, along with Judge Sabarian, agreed to select the final jury on Monday, May 12th. The process continued throughout the day on the 9th. 2 or more jurors would be dismissed. One juror emailed the judge stating their concern over their personal well-being, and the other failed to disclose his current lawsuit against the city of New York. The defense and prosecution feud concerning certain medical topics concerning Cassandra Ventura, also known as Cassie. The defense also wanted to show her violent side, that she wasn't just a victim but participated in physical fights with Combs and others to disprove coercion. Defense stated she was strong and coercion wasn't present, but the judge countered that strong people can be coerced also. Combs was in good spirits as he stood up looked around the gallery, clasped his hands together, and mouthed, "Thank you," to a few supporters in attendance. The court started an hour earlier on Monday, May 12th, to complete jury selection. The final selection was decided, and jurors ranged in age from 30 to 74, with an average age of 52. The group demographic is comprised of 8 men and 4 women. Here is the list. The 12 jurors are: a male, 69, massage therapist, had a family member fall victim of domestic violence, but stated that wouldn't cause a bias for him. Male, 31, investment analyst, states he is against capital punishment. Saw the video of Combs assaulting Ventura and is aware of the allegations against Combs. Male, 51, scientist, vaguely aware of allegations against Combs based on news reports. Female, 30, deli clerk, doesn't watch the news, enjoys listening to hip-hop music. Female, 42, nursing aide, prefers getting her news by word of mouth. She is genuinely familiar with the allegations against Combs. Male, 41, clerk at correctional facility, enjoys listening to 90s hip-hop. He was familiar with the basic allegations of the case, but his pre-existing knowledge would not prevent him from being a fair juror. Male, 68, retired, enjoys listening to classic rock, was familiar with some of the names associated with the case because he watched Combs' reality TV show, Making the Band, when it originally aired. Has a distaste for looking at violence on video, but did watch the Ventura assault. Female, 43, physician's assistant, listens to R&B and hip-hop. She is both a community-based organization for women in Harlem and a social justice public theater. Male, 39, social worker, frequently handling domestic violence cases of children. He likes listening to R&B and Afrobeats. Gets his news from YouTube and likes watching sports. Male, 67, bank analyst. He said he once served on a jury for a criminal case in the Bronx, but the jury did not reach a verdict. Female, 74, treatment coordinator. She enjoys classical music. Now, here are the 6 alternate jurors. The 6 alternate jurors are as follows. Male, 57, architect. He said he is familiar with the allegations against Combs based on media reports, but generally does not pay attention to celebrity media. Male, unemployed, formerly a window cleaner, enjoys watching crime shows and listening to metal and R&B. He was familiar with the basic allegations against Combs despite watching the news. Male, 40, physician. He said he previously read an article written by someone who said Combs threatened her, but does not think that information is relevant to the trial. Female, 71, nonprofit employee, enjoys classical music. Female, 24, site operator. She listens to hip-hop music, rap, soul, and West African music. She says she was aware of the Ventura video, but says she could still be fair as a juror. Male, 37, officer at international organization. He enjoys rock, pop, and classical music. Says he's familiar with the allegations in the case despite not liking celebrity cases. The jury is set and presently serving. I'll be back with a full breakdown of week 1 testimony and week 2 testimony. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any new uploads. Take care of yourself and each other.